So my name's Claire Adams and I'm Deputy Head at Ringwood School, and I have the pleasure of line managing the sixth form. So I'm really grateful for your time this evening. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the IT side of all of this works. I'm just going to hand over to Andy to introduce himself.
Good evening, nice to see you all again. I'm Andy Warburton, Director of Sixth Form. I've met many of you during the course of the year. Hope all is going well, and I'll be talking to you tonight about sort of the students, their work, and how they could be accessing it, and just their approach to their study, and then give you a bit of reassurance about some of the things that the students have contacted us about.
Okay, thanks very much, Andy. And a familiar face for our Year 12s, to Bev.
Good evening. So my name is Beverly Whelan, and Head of Year 12. It's so great to see so many familiar names on the screen, so thank you for showing up for this meeting. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit later on about enrichment activities and well-being of our students. Thank you.
And finally, my colleague Louise.
Good evening. So I'm Louise Warnell, Assistant Head for Teaching and Learning. I'm just going to talk very briefly about engaging with the work, the engagement process and the support, and I will be fielding the questions on the chat, so don't forget, if you've got any questions, do ask them. Thank you.
Brilliant. So just for security, I have locked the room so that if anybody is trying to join and they're telling you, that's just for our own security from an e-safety perspective. But the video is now being recorded and will be posted on our Facebook page tomorrow morning. So we do appreciate at this time there might be a lot of demand on your IT facilities at home. Many of you working from home and your children trying to work from home as well. And sometimes limited technology can cause a few concerns. We just want to allay some of those fears, but most importantly, just show you really where the work sits and how we are managing this through Microsoft Teams platform. So I'm just going to share my screen for you and give you a flavour of where things are. So the best place really for students to start their day is on our school website. And if they go to the academic section and to student remote learning, they can see there that down the bottom right hand side is their work to complete. And if they click on that link, then the PDF document will open up, and that's got all of the subjects on it and all of the work for the next 5 weeks. You will have had this emailed to you a week last Sunday, and the students likewise. So hopefully they've been getting their heads around it and having a good look at that. It's all contents page, so you can click on what they're doing, and they can click on the different weeks and subjects. And if you just scroll down a bit, you can see it's all there. Different teachers, different subjects, like I say, and I can just pick one that I want to go to, and there you can see the work and where it's located. So that's the first point of call. And if you want to ask them about any of their work, then that's where you can find it as well on our outward facing website. Up at the top here as well is this link, which is helpful, which is watch our help videos. And we're building up a bank here, or a library of different videos that help the students find their work. It helps them use Teams, which is new to them, and also helps them with the assignments and installing the app. They can then put it onto their phone or their tablet, which allows them perhaps to be a little bit more independent with their technology use if they need to be. The other reason why it's important for them to go to the school website to begin with is because you can also link to their email from here, which is a great place to start, because lots of communication with their teachers will come through there. And also, if any of the lessons are going to be videoed, then the emails will come out from teachers telling the students what time their lesson might be, so they can join the video call through Teams. And likewise, they'll be scheduling those so that they can see it as well. So the new learning zone will take them to our intranet, our internal website, where the students can access through their login. And through the 3 lines here, students are able to see all of their subjects expanded, and they can find some of the file content for the subjects within the subject folders for the different subjects that they have. So I could have a look, for example, in business, and they'll be able to see a Year 12 folder that will appear, and within there they'll be able to select any content that they need that might not be available to them in Teams and in the assignments. So that's just one place they can go and look. Where we've had to develop this all very quickly, then staff have populated a couple of different places. which isn't ideal, but it got our system up and running as quickly as we possibly could. So we'll start to streamline that a bit better, but that's one of the places that students might find some of their information. The other place is up here under these 9 dots. And if I open that up, you can see that actually the software, main software, Word, PowerPoint, Excel for Microsoft sits on our 365 environment. So the students, even if they don't have those softwares loaded onto their computer as part of the Office suite, can use those software packages anyway by using the links there through the online version. So they can access that information. But importantly, we're asking them to be in teams. And this is where they'll see all of the classes that they are added to for them to be able to dip in and out of, to see the work that's being set. There'll be a chat forum in there as well. And like I say, these things called assignments, which will allow the students to be able to submit work for the teacher to give feedback to. We're very keen that students continue to get feedback, particularly as they are likely still to be doing new learning, because of course we're still wanting the courses to progress and move forward. So you can see here, these are my classes. RWD stands for Ringwood 2019, the year in which we are, academic year 2019-20. Then the year code, and then the class code at the end. So students will be able to see their different classes. So if I just show you one of my groups, I don't have a year 12, so I'll just show you my year 9s. And these are all the posts. So this is a discussion board. So students can post on here, the teacher can post on here. You can see some messages that I've had. I've got files as well on here, which can link to the files that you saw earlier on the learning zone. So that's useful for students to have a look in there as well. They might see some different information. They might see some different resources in there, but that will be directed to them by their teacher. And then finally, the assignments, which is where a teacher can track the work the students are doing, and like I say, can provide feedback for them. So you can see different things set up for them to do. You can see that the hand-in dates are there so that they know how to keep track of the times of what they've got to do for their jobs. And then if I click on it and I go to student view, they can see that here are some instructions, and there are some files that are linked to that assignment in order to support them in doing their work. If students submit their work through there, because that's what the teacher would like, then it means that they can get the feedback, but only the teacher sees that student's work, and only that student sees the feedback on that work. So it's quite secure in that respect. Similarly, with the video lessons that are occurring, particularly for year 12, we are encouraging that for teachers to do it because it's good contact. The students have full control over whether they want their video to be shown or not, and they're quite at liberty to not have their video show. And likewise, this is a protected area in terms of it being the Microsoft 365 and Teams for Ringwood School. So unless you have a Ringwood School email account, you cannot get into this system. So in terms of a safeguarding and e-safety perspective, Teams video calls are the safest, which is why we're not using Zoom for any of our lessons. We are keeping them specifically to Teams so that colleagues can be safe and our students can be safe as well. If students get stuck with their work, then it's really useful to get them to email their teacher, and they'll be able to give them some feedback on that. The more specific the student can be about the problem, maybe a screenshot of what the issue is, the easier it is then for the teacher to be able to field that for them, because you can imagine that with all of the classes that the teachers are dealing with, and all the different students from different year groups, then making sure that it's very obvious to the teacher can just save a little bit of two-way communication and get that to the answer and the resolution as quickly as possible. So I hope that's been useful. Starting at the school website most definitely being the key point. Having Teams downloaded and logged into any portable device will also help, because notifications will then ping up on those which the students will be very used to from different social medias that they're working with. So thanks very much, and I'll pass over to Andy.
Thank you, Claire. And can I say just well done to all the students that are watching, and then please pass this on to your sons and daughters if they're not, how impressed we've been, how quickly they've engaged into this process. It's been so new for all of us, and it's been really, really impressive. And I think there's an assumption just because of their age and they've done exams and they have study periods already that there's a huge amount of independence here, and there is, and they've done some amazing work in terms of their study skills. But I'd really like to reiterate what Claire said there about sort of contacting teachers and continuing your chat in terms of working with each other. I know many of you the students got like WhatsApp groups and different formats of talking to each other, and the power of working with a friend. We use the phrase sort of study buddy, but that idea of working together through this, because the new content is so important as we move forward, carrying on in year 12. So those skills are really important. The students have got the revision guides and their books and their online learning forums. So just please continue to communicate with us as we move through this next stage. Those study skills that we've spoken about earlier in the year when we met at parents' evenings are still so relevant, and the students are still learning to develop those. So we really encourage the students to try and follow their normal timetable, stick to a schedule. The students have got the opportunity to, which they'd probably love to maybe start their day a little bit later, but when they do start, we really do ask them to encourage to try and follow their timetable, follow their normal schedule, and then build in those rest breaks and those activities to break up the day, including exercise and lunch and those sorts of things, that just get that balance around this, as we're sort of stuck in a lot of screen time, perhaps more than normal. It is really important that balance is there, but this content that is being delivered by all the teachers, as we know, is really important for our year 12 students. So we're really mindful of just how important it is for them. So please continue to contact Miss Whelan and myself if you've got any concerns about that work. I'd also encourage the students just to perhaps not worry about where they're filing their work or where they're storing it if they haven't got a printer. Just keep it all safe, maybe set up folders in your workspace, and we can worry about printing and filing and put it all in the right place at an appropriate time when we're all back together. But please do check checklists and those rag sheets that you may well have been given by your subjects. Just sort of track and monitor your content, and particularly keep looking at those specifications that are so important for your year 12 courses. I know many of you are still worried about sort of next year moving forward. So just to reassure you that obviously we were planning to have entrance exams just after the May half term. They will not happen now in the format that we were planned. And when we do get back together, we will look at some form of sort of assessment just to touch base and see how you're getting on, because teachers need that information to be able to support you with your university applications and your apprenticeships. So we will do that in due course and update you. We're following the guidelines of what the government are asking us to do, and we'll keep you informed as and when. Also, students are asking about university. In many ways, this is a perfect timing to be off and independent, because all the work that we would be doing in school is through Unifrog. So you've got those accounts, and again, doing the research, doing that wider looking into your futures, thinking about apprenticeships, gap years, all of that stuff is what we'd be doing in school. We will do through Unifrog and through our tutor activities, which Mr. Whelan will email out every Wednesday just to touch base. If we are still off after the May half term, as we move towards the sort of second half of the summer, and we begin university applications, then we will update you and guide you through that, a little bit like you're being taught now. We will guide you through the university application if we need to. I know one or two of you have asked us about that already, so please don't worry. It's all in hand, and if we need that information, then you will get it. I think the final thing for me really is this is a bit of an opportunity. There is so much stuff that we're being bombarded with that's just perfect for you to develop that intellectual curiosity that we've spoken about in school. Subscriptions that would normally be quite expensive, many companies are giving those out for free, and encouraging students to sign up to university talks, to intellectual conversations, forums, free MOOCs. There's so much out there that would normally cost quite a lot of money that companies are offering for free. So not only just through Unifrog, but through other forums as well. There's a real opportunity to develop that wider learning. Give an example, my geography class did some online fieldwork last week. They were in Ipswich, and there's a chance to visit the Arctic in a couple of weeks. So things like that just maybe never come along ever again. And in year 12 at this time, it really is an excellent opportunity. So I hope that goes to explain some of the thoughts and processes that we're going through, and some of the things that are there to support you going forward. And I'll just encourage you to keep an eye on your email and keep an eye on the daily that comes out from Miss Whelan. So pass over to Bev.
Thanks very much, Andy. That was really useful. And just to say that the MOOCs are available on that remote learning page as well, that is under the section for year 11s, but that doesn't mean that the year 12s can't access that. That's right, Andy, isn't it?
Yes, right, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and handing over to that familiar face that is Miss Whelan.
Okay, so this really is all about our Year 12 students for us, and their well-being and what we can do to support them. We're encouraging them to stay in touch with one another, either through Zoom or whatever social media they use. This has been a real learning curve for me as someone who doesn't use social media or anything like that. I've had to learn all this technology quite fast, and we've been encouraging them, but also we're trying to stay in touch with them so that we can support them. It's a difficult time for everyone, and we really do want to be there for them. So what we've been doing thus far, since we finished school, in fact, is we've been trying to keep some kind of routine and normality going for them by keeping some of our tutor activities going. So basically they get a correspondence from me 3 times a week. On a Monday I'll send out notices, a thought for the week, some of my thoughts, some opportunities that are arising. As Mr. Warburton said, there are so many out there. They can actually be doing university virtual tours at the moment if they choose to do that. So Monday will always be a chance for them to pick up some of these opportunities. On a Wednesday, we're sending out an activity for them to do. I'm not sure how many of them are engaging with this yet, but there'll be lots of different activities for them to do, participate in, from the MOOCs, and they can explain what a MOOC is to you, I'm sure, to personal finance, looking at apprenticeships, university courses. So that will come out every Wednesday. And then on a Friday, it's a bit of a tradition at Ringwood Sixth Form for them to do a tutor quiz. My tutor group, which I see on a Friday, absolutely love it. They really interact with it. It's team building, etc. And so I'm still sending out a quiz on a Friday. I know it's more difficult to do it, to interact with one another, but they could do it on Zoom or on another medium. So we are trying to keep that sense of normality. Their tutors will be in touch with them either on a Tuesday or a Thursday. So really, first thing in the morning, they should be hearing something from us. We are also thinking of trying to do a whole year group assembly where we try to get them all together and have a chat with them and make a presentation to them of some kind. We won't do it at 8:40, which is our normal assembly time. We'll arrange perhaps a later time for them for that. So going back to their well-being, today, this is the start of week 6. I don't know how we got to week 6, but this is where we are. And I sent out a student well-being guide for them today, attached it to an email. It's got some really, really useful advice and support on this. So I would encourage them to have a look at that. Just before school finished, I sent everyone out a school closure bucket list with 30 different ideas on there, things that they can get involved in, and some of them have been doing that. And I would encourage you to have a look at that too. There's some really interesting ideas on there. We've also been asking them to send in photographs, perhaps of them doing something on the bucket list, or actually we've been focusing on pets for the last couple of weeks, and we've had some amazing pet photos. We've really, really enjoyed seeing those. So thank you if you gave them a nudge to send in those photos. We're moving on now. It's no longer pets. I'm asking for photos of your rainbows that you've got stuck in your windows, and also some baking triumphs and some baking disasters. So we'll feature those photos over the next couple of weeks, just to keep interacting with them, really. And actually, it's great to get to know about their pets and get to know about other things that maybe we wouldn't have in a normal time. Just seeing if there's anything else that I need to say. No, we talked about the assembly, but basically we're here. Their tutors are available if they need to get in touch with their tutors. And we really are missing being at school, and we're looking forward so much to all of us being back again together. But until that time, we really would like to feel that we're here for them on the end of an email. Yeah, so please encourage them to stay in touch. And they're doing a brilliant job, I have to say, because part of my role is progress leader and maybe chasing up work, and I really haven't had to do that. So well for the homeschooling that's going on. It's not easy, but thank you.
Thank you, Bev. And you'll be making contact with some students via phone as well, so you can always ring, can't you?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm just going to hand over to Louise. She's just going to talk a little bit about the tracking system that we've got in place to ensure that students are getting on with what we've asked them to do.
Thank you. Apologies for my disappearance. I missed a fair bit of that Wi-Fi disaster at home. So anyway, it's good to be back. So we have had questions. We ran these meetings last week, and we did have quite a few questions from parents about how can they know if their children are engaging with the process, if they're doing enough work, how is it being tracked and monitored. So just to reassure you really that we have got a process in place that we're really pleased with that involves all teachers, which is a good thing, which means we're all on it, to just be checking in and making sure that our students are engaging with their work, that they're completing their assignments, because obviously we want to be able to give them feedback, and that's why we decided to use Teams. And the good thing about Teams is we can see straight away whether students have viewed the work that's been set for them, and then they hand it in, and obviously we can check if they've handed that in. And that is why we decided to go with it. So we are able to see very quickly who is engaging with the work and who isn't. If we've got any problems or questions just that we need to ask, we will email those to students if we're worried about engagement, or we just want to check in that they're completing the work as asked. If we don't get a response from the students, and we generally do, so it's normally nothing to worry about, we will ask the head of year, not the head of year, sorry, the teacher will send an email to you. Again, we would like to emphasise that is about support, just to check that you're aware if your child is handing in their work or not. And again, if we still don't get a response, then Bev would be in touch, someone from the pastoral team, just to give you a call to check that everything's okay, to check the students are engaging with their work. And again, we would like to emphasise that this is about support. We can't force them to do the work, but we can just ask questions and check that everything's okay at home for them with their work and with IT access and so on. So that is just to reassure you that we are checking, because we do want to give feedback to the students. And I do notice that there's a comment here, thank you for your feedback. There's a comment here about the volume of work. And we did have that comment last week as well. And that we would just like to say, to reinforce, to communicate, ensure that your child, your daughter here, is communicating with the class teachers if there's a concern about the volume of work. And I noticed that it seems like there's a lot on a Monday. Whilst we do think it's good to have a schedule and try and stick to the timetable, it's absolutely fine to try and balance that work over the week and to do what they consider is a reasonable amount of time, spend a reasonable amount of time on their work. And if you're finding still in a week's time that the volume is too much, then absolutely communicate with teachers, because we will be wanting to check in with our students as well, how they're getting into a rhythm for working, what are the crunch points in the week. So I would just recommend that you keep an eye on that and that students contact their teachers. The other comment in there that I'd like to respond to is about the virtual lessons. And yes, absolutely, they are so useful, aren't they? Partly to connect with teachers, to connect with their peers, and obviously to support the learning. So they are being scheduled by the class teacher. We've asked for that to be during normal lesson time. It's not a requirement that we've asked all of our staff to give virtual lessons, but it is something that we want to encourage. So hopefully you will see a little bit more of that, but we can't promise that is going to be regular across all subjects. So we'll keep an eye on that, and it's really good to hear that those virtual lessons are appreciated. Certainly we're enjoying running them. And I think that's it. I don't think I've missed anything there. If there's any more questions, do let me know.
Thank you, Louise. That's really useful to have that overview. I think the important thing to stress with regards to the virtual lessons is obviously some of our teaching staff are homeschooling as well, and so that makes having those Teams meetings during the day quite difficult for them. So we can't, like Louise said, promise that all subjects will be doing that, but our teachers are endeavouring to upskill to make sure that they are technically able to do it as well, because it's been, like I said, a huge learning curve for our colleagues in the 2 weeks of Easter to basically learn Teams. And we appreciate that actually our students in the 2 weeks since Easter are going through the same sort of getting to grips with and finding information as our colleagues have been doing. So thank you for bearing with us. Appreciate your feedback, positive and constructive on the chat, and we will look into that. Particularly around EPQ, yep, absolutely. We'll need to get that information out to you, and we'll do that. And likewise with some of the additional clubs that run, then we will look to be getting those moving. It's been a brave new world that we've embarked upon, and so as we start to just bed down into our new normal, I think we'll be able to offer a little bit more again, a bit at a time, so not to overwhelm the students, and also to make sure that staff feel confident and able to be able to do that. Obviously it is a difficult time with you all living under the same roof, and safeguarding is always a concern of ours as well, and it might not be that something that you worry about, but perhaps you hear of other families who are struggling. So not only have we got our remote learning page, but we've also got our safeguarding and wellbeing page, so please do have a look at that. We've got some useful numbers on there, like the local food bank, and just some chat numbers that students can utilise, families can utilise. And again, like I say, it's not necessarily for you, but it might be that you hear of somebody who's struggling a little bit and could do with help. Our safeguarding@ringwood.hants.sch.uk email is manned 24/7. So please do feel free to email that if you've got any concerns, and we will be able to pick that up for you. But we're a community school, and we're trying to encourage and engage our students as learners. It's great to have engaged with so many parents tonight, but as a community we have to look out for each other. So we really appreciate you letting us know if there are families who are struggling, or indeed just signposting them to some information. And likewise with the video tonight, that if you found tonight's sessions of use and of interest, then please do tell other parents if they've not been able to join tonight, that it will be online tomorrow. We will send an email round about that as well, so that hopefully people can watch it at their leisure if they've not managed to watch it this evening. So I'm just going to check with Andy and Bev that there is nothing else they would like to cover. Andy, you happy?
No, I just want to reassure all the students in terms of progression into next year that all students just keep doing your best you very can, and there's nothing to worry about. I know we've spoken about moving into year 13, just as Miss Whelan said in your first slide, just do the very best you can, and we very much look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thanks, Andy. And Bev, anything else to add?
From me, just don't be afraid to get in touch. If you need to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you, and just stay safe and keep well, really.
That's great. So a huge thank you from all of us to giving up your evening, and I hope it has been of use to you. A little bit of an idea of what your children have been asked to do and where they can find it. Again, you are the encouraging factor, you are the supportive factor. We can give them the work, and we can encourage them with the work. So we really just ask that you are there to support them through this really difficult time, both with their academic learning, but also with their own mental well-being, because we do appreciate that this is a huge change for them. It's happened very quickly, and to support them with that is really important. So thank you again, and we wish you a lovely rest of your evening and a good week, and we'll look forward to being in touch soon. Thank you for your time.